Uso has exposed the Bloodline's success, and it's not exactly what you think, because in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is and why it's not what you think. Look, Jey Uso, he has been part of the legacy of the Bloodline. Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, you count in Paul Heyman, you count in Sami Zayn, you count in the now formation of Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and the Tongas, right? This storyline has evolved, and it's actually quite something. Look, we're about a week away from Survivor Series, right? It's going to be the OG Bloodline, your Roman Reigns, your Usos, your Sami Zayn, and your Seth Rollins taking on Bronson Reed and the Tongas and Jacob Fatu and Jacob Fatu in War Games at Survivor Series. It's going to be a big deal. This has been something in which has been building for quite some time. It's something that fans have been eagerly awaiting, because we've built up to this moment, right? This should be one of the closing moments of this storyline, a storyline in which started in the pandemic era back in the summer of 2020, right? Roman Reigns returning with Paul Heyman being our new tribal chief, a heel. It was a great story arc, although things have changed. And things have changed for Jey Uso as well, right? Pivoting away from his brother as a tag team player, becoming a single star, shining bright on his own, going to Monday Night Raw, becoming a single star where he captured the Intercontinental Championship earlier this year from Braun Breaker, only to lose it in a short manner, but still he finally got that monkey off his back. And there's a lot of knowns, and there's a lot of unknowns when it comes to Jey Uso, when it comes to the Bloodline. Now, ironically, there's only one man missing from this storyline that has not come back, right? Roman came back, Jey came back, Jimmy, Sami, they all came back. Except Paul Heyman, our wise man, he still has not returned. Now, last week on SmackDown, there was a infamous and very viral moment, a viral backstage segment, if you will, of Roman Reigns. He asked his phone to call the wise man Paul Heyman, but Paul Heyman, who was laid out by the Bloodline, your Jacob Fatus, your Solo Sikoas, your Tongas, earlier this year, well, that number was disconnected. That leads us to today's video, because Jey Uso, he's been making the media rounds, and he was on the Cheap Heat podcast, and he was talking about Paul Heyman and his importance to the Bloodline. And we know that Heyman is very, very crucial to the behind-the-scenes elements of the Bloodline. But Jey Uso, he took it a step forward by saying this. Even when he's not on TV, he's there. All the backstage stuff, say this. Maybe say it like that. Do this, do that. He's a big player to vouch for and push for you. Any problem we have, we go to him. He makes it happen for the family. We love him. What does that mean? While yes, Roman Reigns gets the spotlight, while yes, Roman Reigns gets the focal point from the fans of, well, this is the reason why the Bloodline is successful. He is a large part of it. But Roman Reigns has been with WWE for over a decade now. He's been pushed as a top star for a decade now. He was not always this tippy top on his game. He was not always the guy in which we know today. He was not always the success story that he is today. There was many years where WWE pushed him down our throats, and it absolutely sucked. We didn't want it. Roman didn't like that version. It wasn't until his allegiance, his alliance with Paul Heyman, that his career blossomed into what it is now. It took him to a different stratosphere. It's because of Paul Heyman. Jey Uso career has never been stronger. Paul Heyman has something to do with that. With Jey going out and saying, Paul Heyman gives us guidance. He gives us clarity. He gives us direction in what we're supposed to do. That's something. That is Paul Heyman making the magic work. When you go and you say, if we have a problem, we go to Paul Heyman because he's going to fix it for us. That's not going to Roman and saying, hey, we have a problem. Will you fix it for us? It's Paul Heyman. While, yes, Roman is the focal point, while he is the face of the company and he is the face of the group, he's not the most important aspect of the Bloodline storyline. He's not the most important member of the group. Keep in mind that it's not just Paul Heyman who works with Roman Reigns. He works with Jey and Jimmy and Solo and Jacob and the Tongas. He works with all of them. He has been the glue behind this storyline. He's been the glue behind the faction. That is why this story has worked. That's why this group has worked. That's why these characters have worked. It's because of Paul Heyman. And I think Paul Heyman doesn't get enough credit for that, right? Heyman gets credit for his involvement in wrestling, his impact on wrestling, whether it be a manager, whether it be a booker, a commentator, or the wise man. But I think his influence behind the scenes is second to none. It's something in which should have a bigger spotlight, and people should focus on even more, but they don't. I think Paul Heyman will be a guy that is celebrated for decades. I think he's a guy that will be heavily praised, but I also think that he will never get enough credit for what he's been able to do, because he doesn't just work with people who he is getting a paycheck for. If he's backstage and a young talent or an old talent comes up to him and asks him, hey, what do you think of this? Or what do I do here? He gives them their attention. Why? Because he loves developing talent. That is his crucial spot. And Jey Uso has been able to witness that and see that and learn from that and go where Heyman has guided him and directed him and really has crafted into something amazing. Paul Heyman has helped Jey Uso do that. And as we go into 2025, I will be very curious to see whether or not they actually stay with the Usos. Do you go and you do another run with Jey and Jimmy, or do you continue the line in which you were going with where Jey was on his own? Do you continue to move forward in the spot that we all know and love, that is Jey Uso? That main event Jey Uso, that solo riding Jey Uso, right? I want to see that. That doesn't mean that he can't have an alliance with Jimmy. That doesn't mean that he can't have an alliance with Roman. That doesn't mean that they can't link up when needed. Absolutely they can. That's the beauty. That's beautiful about it. But at the end of the day, Jey Uso is better off as a singles guy than he is as a tag team guy. And I know that's insane to say considering all the success in which he and Jimmy have had. But if you look at it in 2024 and as we go into 2025, it's just the truth. He has much more upside. He has much more to achieve as a single star than he does as a tag team guy. He has legitimately done it all in the tag team scene. There is nothing else for them to accomplish together. Whatever Jimmy does going forward is Jimmy's business. But for Jey, hey man, he's on his own.